Hello everybody, it's Mama Shar here. Welcome back to a brand new video on this channel. And today's video is going to be a little different than what I usually make. Today's video is actually going to be on reactions to anti-LGBT or just transgender videos, depending on which kind of videos I can find. But that's what I'm going to do. I never really make reaction videos, but we're going to do it. Today's going to be our first episode to reacting to anti-trans videos or YouTube videos, whatever I can find. If I have to put LGBT because I can't find any trans related videos, I will. So yeah. And you guys know, what is a Charlotte's video without having Starbucks coffee in it? Because girl, I live off these things. Too far? Too far? No. So we got the handy dandy tablet here so that we can react to some videos today. Damn, I haven't used this tablet in forever because look, check this out. This picture is so damn old. I think it's like at least almost half a year old. But we are going to look up anti-trans videos. Okay guys, we're going to be watching this one. I think it's called Anti-Transgender Bus Sparks Protests. Let's see how this was.
We're out here today just trying to convey a message that this debate over LGBT issues, transgender bathroom policies and the like needs to be conducted in a respectful way on both sides. We call for an open conversation and a civic debate in society where we respect the views of those that disagree with us and don't try merely to silence them, as unfortunately we have seen happen already on our bus tour with acts of vandalism.
Transphobia's got to go! Hey, hey! Ho, ho! Transphobia's got to go!
We're calling for another renewed discussion that slows down what has been this rush toward what we think is an unscientific new avenue of policy.
Okay guys, so first of all, he wants to do this in a manner way, yet they have a bus that's literally sitting here saying boys are boys, girls are girls. You want to have a civil conversation, yet you stamped your entire bus with this anti-trans message. Like, that's not civil at all.
Trans people get mugged, beaten up, and assaulted in bathrooms every day.
We can have conversations.
I was really struck by how the person I spoke with who was from the bus talked about being pro-family, and yet their message is toxic to trans and queer kids.
Like, I understand what this person is saying right here, but some people just don't understand, especially based off of the way people look.
Kids who, I was in that space growing up. I know what it's like to be there.
It is not about biological sex.
Well,
we are talking gender.
It is to these people.
The fundamental problem is...
Okay, so I'm gonna be honest with you guys here. A lot of people that are anti-LGBT always try to put on this facade that they are actually trying to have a decent conversation, trying to be nice about something, when all they really do have is like a couple of things to state out, and that's literally it. That's, do I agree with sex and gender being different things? I agree. I think there's a difference between that because we wouldn't have people that are transgender if they were the same. That's the way it works. So this wasn't very much of an anti-video. It's more like a anti-bus thing. Let's watch this. Birdman posted this.
Alright, what's going on, guys? In today's episode of Weirdos on the Internet trying to quote-unquote cancel successful people, we have Lil Uzi Vert. So Uzi just came out with 2 brand new songs, That's Iraq and Sanguine Paradise. Now, the song we're going to be focusing on in this video is That's Iraq. Obviously, I can't actually play the song for copyright reasons. I'm assuming a lot of you guys have already heard it, but you know, you can look it up on Apple Music, Spotify. It's probably on YouTube as well. I don't know. Anyways, what we can do here is take a look at the actual lyrics of the song. It's actually just a couple lines in particular that have really upset the LGBTQRSTUV WXYZ community. And I gotta be honest here, man.
Okay, first of all, you know someone's anti-LGBT whenever they basically put W, X, Y, and Z basically after LGBT because they just want to make fun and poke fun of a community that just kind of like puts letters as themselves, you know? The reality is our own community, so why even sit there and make fun of someone for their community? I don't understand, but when people say it like that, I already know for a fact that this person is going to be anti-LGBT, so it's whatever. Let's see what else happens here.
I don't really get it, okay? I listened to both of these songs when they came out. I liked them. I heard the line that they were offended about, and it didn't really stick out to me as something to be offended by. Then again, I'm not really that type of a person, so I'll let you guys be the judge on this one. Maybe I'm just a scumbag. Maybe I'm just a scumbag. Maybe I'm just a scumbag. Maybe I'm just a scumbag for not recognizing how transphobic this line really is. So, all my bitches 10s, no, I do not fuck no fans. So, pretty self-explanatory in the beginning. All of the females that Lil Uzi Vert is penetrating happen to be 10 out of 10s. And also, they do not happen to be fans of his music. So, pretty simple start. I was checking my DMs, found out she was a man. No, no, no. So this is where the controversy begins. It seems that Uzi was DMing some of these aforementioned 10 out of 10 females, except it turns out that this one was actually a man, and he was like, whoa, no, 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 you know, I'm not interested in...
Okay, so there is a big deal with that lyrics. I really don't give a shit about music, honestly. If listen to a song, if it sounds good, it sounds good. If it has bad lyrics and stuff like that, bad line, that's anti-LGBT, I'm not going to sit there and hate on the song. If it sounds good to me in general, I'm going to listen to it. But the reality is here, it is transphobic because, you know, one is, you know, when you talk to people and you see, oh, this is a fine chick, you know, so hot, and then turns out to be a man, the reality is, why don't you say it turns out to be a trans woman or something, or, you know, but this person says man, and I said, no, no, no. Now, I understand everybody has their own preferences. No guy should have to sit there and be forced to date a trans woman. If you're not into that kind of stuff, if you're not into someone that is going through transitioning, then don't pursue it. But don't call them a man for it, okay? That's where it kind of like goes overboard. So I could see where that is a problematic like phrase. But this guy here is telling me, I don't know how it could be so transphobic, because you're not transgender. That's just the reality. You have to be transgender to feel transphobic stuff. You have to be transgender to feel anti-trans things. Sorry guys, bad words.
In men, I can't DM never ever again. No. So after finding out that this girl he was DMing was actually a man, it turns out he is now scared to DM any more girls, and he can't DM ever again. And finally
Okay guys, that is like that's too exaggerated. Honestly, when someone says they can't DM anymore because that, obviously it's a song, so for all we know, it could just be kind of like fucking around. But like, who honestly feels uncomfortable talking to women because they're afraid they're gonna talk to a trans woman? Come on now. Are you that insecure about yourself?
We have Lucian on my vision. That's the only thing that's tran. Now this part I actually had to look up. So it turns out Lucian is actually a reference to Lucian Carr, who was a key member of the Beat generation in the 1940s, which was like a literary movement. And they based it off of Emersonian transcendentalism. So that's where the tran comes from. He says, you know, the only thing in his life that is tran is this inspiration that he got from Lucian Carr and this transcendentalism. So that's the reference there. I don't know if anyone would have fucking got that without looking it up. I'm sure they probably mentioned that in school, but like, you know, nobody's remembering that, man. Anyways, so that's the final line. You can see the next line after that is moving on to another subject. I will not be reading that one in this video. So basically, let's think about what happened here, right? So Uzi was DMing what he thought was a very fine looking woman on social media, 10 out of 10. And then all of a sudden, it turns out that this woman actually has a penis. And he was like, you know what? That's not really what I'm looking for.
Okay, so let's be honest here. I respect Birdman for saying this woman rather than saying this man. But when he said this woman has a penis, how does he know that this woman has a penis? I'm gonna be honest with you guys, there are not a lot of transgender people out there that have gone through SRS, but there have been people. You can't just assume just because someone's trans they have a penis. Come on, or a trans man have a vagina. Y'all have to understand that people have gone through surgical processes. We have our own journeys here. So to assume that you're talking to a trans woman means you're talking to someone with a penis, that doesn't necessarily gonna be the truth here, okay? So when he says this person's talking to someone that has a penis, you know, honestly, if a chick you're talking to turns out to be a chick with a penis and you don't like that, you all power to you to say no. But the reality is, a lot of people don't understand the whole process in which people will find attractive in someone. They find attractive in their when they first see them, in their personality. They don't find what between your legs is attractive. It's just a sex organ. But at the same time, I do commend that men and women should have the power to date whoever they choose and, you know, turn down things that are situated. But don't assume that just because someone's trans, they have a penis. That's a woman anyways.
So I'm not gonna be DMing you anymore. In fact, I'm kind of worried about DMing anyone at this point, okay? I'm not really sure about it. Now, nowhere in these lyrics did I feel that he was being rude or hateful towards trans people. I mean, he simply is not interested in penis.
You know, honestly, it's being rude just by mentioning it in a song. Like, that's just being rude. Like, out of all the lyrics you can make out of any sort of song, you have to put up an anti-LGBTQ or transgender lyrics. Like, what's the point in that? You know, what are you gonna gain off that? Why even post that? It's like a regular song just randomly bringing up gay people. Like, why even care about it? It has nothing to do with gay people. It has nothing to do with trans people. Why? It is rude just to simply say something like that. Because the reality is, you know, why even talk about a trans person if you're just gonna talk shit about them? I don't know. I mean, then at the same time, it's their music. I can't sit there and say, don't put this in there, because I'm not going to be a police. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to be a social justice warrior, I guess you could say.
Penis, and that's okay. I mean, I just don't understand the logic here. I've noticed this happens a lot with the trans community. Like, for example, if a gay dude slid in my DMs and he's like, hey man, you want to suck on my balls? I would say, you know what, man? No, actually, I am not interested in sucking on your balls. That's not really my thing. I'm not gay. And, you know, he would probably respond like, okay, man, I understand. You know, you're not gay. That's cool. I get it, bro. Let's both move on with our day peacefully. You know, there's no hate here, right? But for some reason, the transgender community handles this type of situation completely differently. Like, let's say a transgender girl slid up in my DMs and, you know, she was looking pretty good, 10 out of 10. And I was like, damn, you know, you kind of...
I'll give you one thing. He did gender her right, and he did call her a trans girl. So I do give you some props here, Birdman. Congratulations for using stuff like that. That's very good. the reality, the way I see Birdman is that he understands the whole thing about you should have like your own opinion on what you would want, right? But you know, he is taking this whole lyrical verse in a song to think that, oh, it's not that big of a deal. It's not really, but to some people it is. And if you think about it, it is problematic. There's a reason why trans people get hurt, because someone might not accept them, because, you know, it's like being torn apart because of one problem. It's like dating a guy and then they figure out you have a boil on your private parts and they don't want you anymore. It's an insecurity. It's something that makes you feel uncomfortable, you know. You want to be validated the way you are. A guy finds you attractive, you feel good about it. That's why it's so hard for trans women or trans men to kind of like get over the fact that someone might not want them after they figure it out. Because the reality is, you know, they just want to live their life too. You know what I mean? You might say, oh, I'm not gay. But trans people don't feel like that you are gay if you like them, because they are coming off as a woman, which is why you hit on them in the first place. This is the whole issue here. Gay people, obviously, you see a straight up gay dude walk up to you, hit on you, you're not gay. You say you're not gay, I'm sure they're going to understand, because they're going to know, well, I'm gay, you know? When you're trans, it's a totally different story. You might not just want to be labeled as that. Which, I don't know why Birdman made this video over a basketball video gameplay, which is kind of dumb. But, you know, it's his stuff. You know, I'm not going to watch any more of his video. I understand the whole, what it's about. He's probably going to talk more shit about it. Honestly, guys, watching videos like this are already a trigger thing for me. I cannot watch them without feeling uncomfortable. But I'm doing it for you guys. So, let's watch this one.
Julie Beck joins us now on set. Julie, thanks very
Oh,
much
no.
for coming on.
Tucker is one of the top
You said
anti-LGBT
something
people.
that I think many people would in their hearts think is obvious, but very few people are willing to say out loud. You said it knowing you would likely be punished for saying it, but you said it anyway. Why did you do that?
I believe in the truth. I believe that people should have these conversations and say things that matter without fear of punishment.
You are old-fashioned. Why do you think, I couldn't agree with you more, and I'm grateful that you have that attitude, but why do you think it was important to say this specifically?
Well, when we get down to it, women and girls all share a biological reality. We are all female. But if any male person can call himself a woman or legally identify as female, then predatory men will do so in order to gain access to women's single-sex spaces, and this puts every woman and girl at risk.
Okay, go. First of all, there hasn't been any cases, as far as I've heard, that this has happened. Who will go through the simple process of trying to change their gender so that they could get into spaces like this? And if they do, how many guys do you know that wouldn't even give a shit about trying to change their gender? They can do it any other way. You know, there's so many ways that these people could attack people that are women in women-only spaces or in the middle of a parking lot. It happens every single day. So when people complain, oh, well, now guys have a reason to go into our women-only areas, they act like they're the only ones in those bathrooms. And these are technically in bathrooms that are very very open, because if you go to Walmart, there's women all over that bathroom. There's women all over every single bathroom. Hardly ever will you ever see a big business bathroom with only one person in it. Most likely, you know, things like that, you can't even bring it outside of the bathroom in public, because when you walk outside, you're in public. That's the reality. But I'm gonna be honest with you guys, when people try to say something like this, I'm like, what? Why do you guys think that? Because, you know, this is the whole problem here.
Like I said, this puts every woman and girl at risk of male violence, and this is already happening in many states. In many states, men can legally identify themselves as female and gain access to women's single-sex spaces. And sports is just one institution where men are taking titles, scholarships, and this is a problem. Okay, so this is a typical feminist thing to say. These men are getting into women-only spaces so that they can be number one in women's sports. I'm going to be honest with you guys here. When you're on hormones, it obviously changes your muscle mass. It obviously changes your fat distribution, all kinds of different things. I can understand if you're a bodybuilding
big, dude before you transition, and then you're still a big body weight. Maybe that may be a difference, but people are treating the whole. I guess you could say the trans stuff is when it comes to sports, it's a very, very off-on thing, because there's a lot of trans women out there that don't even want to look masculine, don't even want to be muscle-like. They just want to compete in the gender they feel like they want to compete in. And when you're a trans woman and you're competing in women sports, it's almost like you can't do good because people are just going to hammer you down for doing good at what you do. You know what I mean? So I that's the hard part. That's why I personally could never get into a woman-only sport, because to me, I'd always feel like people are going to hammer me down because if I even do good. I probably get my ass kicked in sports for women. The truth is. That's the truth. Just because you're trans doesn't necessarily make you a muscular, way better than any other women. That thing. That's sexist to your own gender. Come on now.
See, it seems like a real problem. Why wouldn't women's groups who exist to carry the banner for women raise the alarm about this?
Women have been speaking out about this for decades, but we have been effectively silenced. Many women, like myself, have been pushed out of spaces that we built, spaces that are intended to include us.
A lot of feminists have this thing where they kind of feel like, I work so hard to be a woman, and I get pushed down by these men and stuff like that. Y'all don't even understand here. Trans women feel that they're in their brains are women. We are women. We're not biologically women, but we're more like our brains are still female. The reality is, when you feel like you're attacked by something like that, come on now. Your life is not as hard as a trans person's life anyways, because we have to go through a lot of shit. Plus, gender dysphoria, which is a bad thing. People like this getting all hurt over certain things like that, I just don't understand it. And then of course, Tucker, being the anti-LGBTQ guy I've seen for a while, of course he's talking nice to her. He's being like, oh yes, I totally agree with you. Oh my God. I understand. And feminist things, there's a lot of good things about the movement. It does make good sense. But there is a lot of extremist side to it as well, just like the LGBTQ community. There are some strange sides to trans stuff too. Nobody should be policing anybody over anything. You know what I mean?
Because we acknowledge biological reality.
Do you think, you're lesbian, you are in the same acronym as a bunch of other groups, including people who are transgendered. Do you think that makes it more difficult for you to make this argument? It seems like this has been so politicized that you're expected to have a certain set of views that maybe you don't have.
I see where you're coming from. I would like to make a distinction here. The letters in the acronym share not much. The LG and B are based on sexualities. They're based on sex, biological realities.
Yes.
But the T is based on gender identity, which is not based in biological reality. In fact, I would argue...
Biological reality. Oh my gosh. This is the part that pisses me off. Being transgender is biological. It is biological. If people don't understand the fact that someone could be born with a different brain that had not strictly, because when we're all kids, when we're all in the womb, we all start off as females. Hormones are fed to our bodies, which determine our chromosomes, all that stuff. If you can believe that someone can be born with 3 arms, attached to another baby, brain issues, no brain, half a brain, you guys should understand that anybody at any time could be born with a brain that never really got enough hormones to make that transition fully to the other side. Which is why you have transgender people that, born the opposite gender, but feel at their heart that they're not supposed to be the way they are. They act like women. Transition is not about pushing people's faces and saying, oh, I'm a woman. It's about discovering who you are and respecting yourself enough to do what you need to do to become your full self. People like this like to say, sexuality, that's biological. And don't get me wrong, just because someone's lesbian, gay, bisexual, doesn't matter. That doesn't mean everybody agrees with everything in the community. Obviously, this woman doesn't. She doesn't agree with it. But the reality is, being gay and being lesbian is also a hard subject to grasp for a lot of people. The thing is, understand that your situation is hard just as much as a trans person is. So you should understand, you should be the one more understanding about it than other people, to know that maybe there is something that's biological under this, you know? But it's whatever.
I would argue that it's opposed to biological reality. The LGB is very different from the T, and I don't think it's fair to lump us all into the same acronym.
Do you find it astounding that it is considered an act of bravery to defend biology?
I wouldn't say so myself, but I guess that's where we are right now, and I hope more women stand up.
Last question, because I can't remember. What did they say to you? You were thrown off this commission. You were punished for saying this out loud. What was the rationale for it?
Frankly, there was no case made.
Let me tell you guys something. The reason why she got kicked off of that was because it's considered hate speech. You don't have to agree with anything, but you don't have to be an ass and say stuff like that. But the reality of all of this is that the way she just sits, the way she looks like an asshole in general. I'm just being honest. She looks like a complete ass just by the way she's looking at it. I hope other women stand up, you know, like as if trans people are really hurting people. Like, how many trans people do you know have actually tried hurting people because they're trans, you know? Like, it doesn't make sense. You know, but a lot of feminists feel that way about the trans community. Like, oh my god, they're just taking away our system, because they think of it as we're attacking the women-only spaces, and we're trying to make it look like, oh, men could be women too, you know, men could beat women and all that stuff. And that's not the reality. That's not the point here. Transitioning is a totally different thing, and we do it for ourselves. I don't do it for anybody else but myself. I'm transitioning for myself. I'm not here to brag about anything or tell anybody anything. But I will defend myself just like anybody else would. You should be able to defend yourself. But people make this defending as a form of attacking, and that's the problem here.
No case made. My accuser said that they didn't have to make a case. One of the members of my committee argued that sex was a thing of the past. He said, frankly, science had progressed so far that sex was unimportant. I argued the opposite.
Julia Beck, at a time like this, everyone thinks, so I would say what I really think, but most people are afraid to, and you're not. And I'm definitely standing in admiration of that. Thank you for that.
Thank you for having me.
Tucker Carlson is the biggest LGBTQ anti-guy I've ever met, and I've ever seen on YouTube. Honestly, this guy, Fox News is pro at doing this, but people that are feminists usually tend to have like hate for stuff like this. But I do encourage that some feminists understand it and accept trans people, because it's already hard enough that we have people that end up hating us because we transition. Family, friends, people that we date. People, like, you know, there's a lot of different people that hate us just because we're simple transitioning. And the thing about life is that, how would you feel? You know, this woman obviously feels the way she feels because she's not transgender. She doesn't feel the way that other people feel because she's lesbian. It's way more accepted to be lesbian than it is to be transgender in nowadays society. So she's not complaining, but if she was transgender, it'd be a completely different story, guys. Having gender dysphoria is a total, it's a medical diagnosis. There has been medical, you know, people talking about it, you know? So I don't buy it for a thing. I was expecting to be a little more, laughing a little more about these, but of course I am way too much. Like, I get too hurt over videos like this, but I definitely will do more videos that will make me kind of more laugh, more so, but I don't want to record like an hour and 30 minutes worth of video and have to cut it all up. I just wanted to show you guys my reactions to people that get so sensitive over the trans community kind of thing, and I'm like, really, people, it's not that big of a deal. If you're straight, embrace yourself for being straight. If you're not trans in anything, if anything, be happy that life did not fuck you over like this. Because being trans is not something I want to wish on anybody. Being trans is a hard thing, you know. Luckily for me, I've had it very easy. There's a lot of trans people out there that go to fucking hell, and I'm just being honest. And I'm sorry about my words, but it's the truth, you know. But people that are cis, people that are heterosexual or cis mainly, don't understand that. They don't have to deal with stuff like hatred upon their gender, hatred upon their sexuality, because they just don't, because it's way more accepted. Anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, give it a like, show some love, and subscribe. If you guys can, please please go down to my GoFundMe and donate some help, some money if you guys can. Doesn't matter how much it is. It can be $1, just to help me out with my my book contract. If you guys do want to help support by buying my book, it is on Amazon, all that kind of stuff. It is a fictional book. It's not anything about anything like in my life. It's just, I'm a novelist. Anyways, guys, yeah, press the notification bell down below if you guys do want to be notified every time I upload on YouTube or I go live on YouTube. So yeah, follow my social media links, and I'll see you guys in the next video. I'm Mama sharing this, my shout out. Cheers. I love you guys a lot. I love you guys lots like Tata Tots. Bye. Mwah.